Dynasty Overload Podcast. Dynasty Overload Podcast. Dynasty Overload Podcast. Dynasty Overload Podcast.
Oh, we got a long way to go. And there's no going back to the life we live, the life we only know. We got a long way to go. I'll give it everything. There's nothing left. There's nothing left.
To the Dynasty. What up? What up? What up? It's your boy Razzman. Welcome you in again to another episode of the Dynasty Overload Podcast. Today I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Manny. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. What's good with you, brother?
Hey, nothing much, man. Listen, having a good time, loving this draft, loving what happened. Hey, listen, guys. If you guys would like and subscribe, please hit that like and subscribe button. That's what it just let us know that you're out there. Let us know that you're listening, guys, and just keep us getting you great videos sent to you, okay? All right, guys, we got a great show for you today. Listen, me and Mr. Manny are talking these draft day landing spots and kind of how they're affecting these rookie drafts. So, listen, a lot happened. You know, things that we thought was going to be one way went a completely different way. And, you know, all your experts and all your geniuses that was like, you got to do X, Y, Z, you know, outside of maybe the top 3 picks, you know, hey, you had to think about it just a little bit differently. So, listen, how'd you feel about the draft, Manny?
Man, the draft was crazy. Draft made me mad because it's supposed to be the RB draft. And like a lot of us were drafting in startup drafts, saving our rookie picks to be running backs. And the problem with this running back class is it's super talented, but it's going to take some of these guys 2, 3, maybe 4 years to actually pop and be the guy. Like we've been waiting on a guy like AJ Dillon to have his own backfield, right? So a lot of teams are going to have like dual backs. Like you're going to have 2 backs per team. But the problem was the landing spots were terrible. How did you feel about these landing spots?
You know what, man? Honestly, that first day, I was cool. Mm-hmm. So the first day, I was cool. Draft, day 1 draft, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Mm-hmm. And it was guys that were, I guess they were just thrown off because we were all, I guess, thinking of the perfect landing spots, right? Mm-hmm. And then even when you look at the Mel Kipers and that CBS draft that we did, you know, everybody's thinking of dream landing spots, basically where somebody would have the most production possible. And that's not what happened. So, you know, that's not what happened. And the landing spots, guys got a little, I don't know about that one. I don't know if I like that. And, you know, and I get it. I get it. And listen, we're going to go through some of these. I'm going to switch over here. Well, not switching over for you guys, switching over for me. But I'm going to see if I can blow this up just a bit. And let's get into a little bit of the rookies. Let me see if I can pull. Listen, don't be mad if I would have said, don't be mad if I can't pull this up. All right, cool, guys. You guys might not be able to see it. I'm going to try to blow it up just a little bit more. So we're looking at our top guy. So most guys or most people's 1-1 is still going to be Mr. Bijan Robinson, of course. And then from there, the draft gets a little different because we're looking at Bryce Young. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start this thing up and just get it. Let's just see what it does here. All right. So, yeah, in most of your drafts, Bijan's going 1.
Right.
All right. So who's going 2 is going to be I've seen a few where Anthony Richardson goes 2.
Yeah, he has the most upside, and the landing spot was great. And if you're like me and you have a lot of Gardner Minshew shares and you have the 1-2 or the 1-3, I mean, Anthony Richardson's not a bad pick if you have Minshew. If you don't have Minshew, because like a lot of us are going to need our quarterback to produce right away. And I think he'll be the least ready to produce right away. I think he's a project. He should sit out a year, but he's going to play this year.
He's going to play this year. Let's go with him because I think his landing spot was a lot better than most of us thought it was going to be. Yep. So let's go with Richardson as our number 2. Oh, I guess I can't do that here. All right. But anyways, let's call Richardson our number 2, okay?
Okay.
Select player. There we go. That was easier, right?
Yep.
All right. So we select out Richardson as our number 2. So that means that we're going to select consensus player that's going to be next is going to be Bryce Young, okay?
Yep.
So now we got Bryce. And let's just go ahead and get Stroud out the way as well. I've actually seen Stroud go 1 overall, and I'm guessing this is going to be Dilla's choice. This is kind of going to be kind of like how you feel about the player.
Right.
Now, and consensus-wise, We've seen two players go next. So we'll just get those guys out the way because they're pretty easy. So I'm going to say either you know what? Let me say what I'm really seeing. I'm really seeing Njigba go next over Gibbs. What about you?
Yeah, of course. Who has the lifespan? Like, see, these two players are dead even. They're tied. So if you are a team that desperately needs a running back, you go RB because it's hard to get these top notch. And because the landing spots were so trash for these running backs, Gibbs and Robinson are the two that are going to come in right away and produce from day one. There's other guys that are going to produce, but these two guys are getting the workload day one. So for me, it's like flip-flop. But I will always go JSN because receivers typically last longer in the league. Thoughts?
Listen, so I completely agree with you. And that's so the only reason, and listen, guys, I've actually been flip-flopped on this as I've been drafting. It's the funniest thing is because you would think I'd be one way, but I've actually been both ways. And I kind of lean towards it I try to base it off the team, the particular team that I'm actually drafting at the time. So I'm trying to do something like that or say something like that. So here's my guy, or let's do this. I am going to say that because Bryce went to Carolina, that I can see somebody being enticed with Richardson going to Indiana because you got better weapons. And I can also see somebody saying, hey, well, I like the weapons that Stroud has in Houston better. What do you think about Stroud in Houston and Bryce in Carolina?
Bryce in Carolina, I love it. That was where I was hoping that he would land. He has the veteran guys in Thielen and also DJ Chark. Then they drafted him a receiver in Mingo who's shooting up people's boards, which we're going to get to in a minute. It's crazy how high this guy is going right now. He does not deserve to go that high. But it is, it is what it is. And then as far as CJ Stroud, he doesn't have the weapons like some of these, like a Bryce, but what they did do was bring this guy, Xavier Hutchinson, and they drafted him a miniature player in Tank Dell. But he doesn't really have the kind of talent that the other guy has. But he does have a tight end in Dalton Schultz, who I do like. So I think that CJ is going to produce day one, but he's very safe. He's very safe. I think that Bryce Young is going to outscore all three guys. CJ is going to be right in the middle. And then Richardson is going to be at the end, but he has the most upside to be the best quarterback out of this group.
I think that Richardson probably scores the most points the first year, but I also think he's the one that probably looks the most shaky as well. So, and I think he just gets that solely based off of the rushing. I think he gets more points. But like I say, at the end of the year, I'm not sure that you feel good about him. It's kind of like that thing that's going on with the guy in Chicago. What's his name? The quarterback.
In Chicago.
The quarterback in Chicago. Anyways, Fields. So Justin Fields. So the thing that's going on with Justin Fields is that he produces fantasy points, but the thing is, you have to understand that if you do not produce actual wins, you're not going to stick in the league.
Right.
So while that might be good for a year or two, it's not long lasting effects.
Right.
So I saw people that were upset with Gibbs' landing spot and then Jigba's landing spot. So before you go in, I'm going to say this. I thought that Jigba's landing spot was perfect. I mean, this was already an offense that was producing two borderline wide receiver ones as far as production, because the other guy outside of I'm messing everybody's name up today. Lockett, yeah. Outside of DK, Lockett was actually still putting up 200 plus points. That's perfect. So Lockett's 30 years old. It seems that Njigba's going to be the heir apparent there, but not necessarily doing the same thing that Lockett does. I would say you have somebody that could do that's a better prototype than what Lockett is doing. So he could actually be either. I would say that receiving room is probably going to be 1 and 1B now. So 1A and 1B now. And if Geno can deliver like he did last year, that's good. But even if he can't, Geno essentially signed a 1-year deal. They'll be moving on. And listen, that next year's. I'm sorry.
Which is why Seattle should have drafted Hendon Hooker. Yes, he's older, but I also feel like they have a plan at QB if Geno isn't the guy, but it's always nice to kind of bring in somebody. I guess they wanted to kind of give him like the full vote of confidence and say, hey, you are our guy. You are our guy. We want you to succeed and hit. Hey, here's extra weapons. This reminds me of when the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need a CeeDee Lamb. They had Amari Cooper. They had Michael Gallup, who had a good season the year before.
Yeah.
So this is something similar, other than Tyler Lockett being a little older.
Right.
I think we have to temper expectations on Smith this year.
Year one. That doesn't matter.
Temper it. He's going to be fine moving forward, but I just think like Lockett is still a man.
Yeah. Lockett is nice.
Being here, Lockett is going to be open. Who are you guarding? Who are you covering? So it's going to be days that each one of these three guys have a big game. Like you're not going to consistently produce. Sometimes you're going to see DK Metcalf as the guy that's lost. Right. You know what I'm saying? What did he do? How did he produce? So, but yeah, I love the landing spot for JSN. I think he's going to ball out, but you're going to see more of it in year 2. Don't be surprised if you don't get a Garrett Wilson or a Chris Olave type of performance in year 1, because for one, both of those guys were doing it without help. Okay, so in this case, it's different. JSN is being eased into a good offense that like to run the ball. They drafted another running back, so the opportunities in the pass game will not be what people are thinking that is going to be. So you're going to see a JSN blow up more so in year 2, but you're going to see guys that are going to want to get out of the JSN in midseason because now they're expecting JSN to be Olave or to be Garrett Wilson. Situation is different. Targets is different, and he might not get the target starting out. Maybe later on through the year, things might change. Maybe they move away from Lockett or whatever to open up more opportunities, but it's going to be interesting moving forward. Question for you. Do you think that JSN goes for over or under 800 yards?
Oh, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that depends on Lockett. If Lockett, but you know what? Yeah, that depends on Lockett. If Lockett is gone or if Lockett gets hurt, then I'm saying over. Mm-hmm. But even with Lockett there, I say that he gets over 500 or 600 yards. And if you think about this past season, there wasn't a whole lot of receivers that got more than that. And, I mean, because all the receivers that got more than that, we're talking about as basically being wide receiver ones in Dynasty right now, and I'm talking about rookies. Mm-hmm. So I think if Njigba has a season that he gets over 500 receiving yards, over 600 receiving yards, I think you can call that a success for his first year. Being basically the third option out there. I think that would be a success, and because you can't forget Fant either, and then the fact that they did something else where they added another person that catches passes too. So you can't skip over that. And sorry guys, I know I got my phone in my hand, but so we are in a crazy amount of dynasty drafts right now. So I got to keep my head on the swivel. It's been nonstop since Saturday night.
Yep.
But yeah.
And for me, while we were talking, I got a trade offer, but I can't see. So it was like pretty much a first and Pollard for a first and a second. But the problem is I don't know what first I'm getting. So I'm not going to accept this deal. I'm not even going to look at this deal. So he wants my 1-4 and 24 second for Pollard and 110. That's never happening.
Right. Absolutely.
It's never going to happen ever. I don't care what century, what league, what anything. It's never going to happen because I'm drafting my JSN at a 1-4. I drafted my team a certain way. See, when I draft my team a certain way, I have to fill in with what I expect to grab.
Right. So, basically who you was planning on grabbing the whole time.
Exactly. I drafted an older team with Cooper Kupp and Keenan Allen and Brandon Cooks. My only other young receiver is Jalen Waddle. So I have to insert Young into this team, or even Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb. I got to get a Gibbs. So Gibbs, JSN are the picks that's going to help make this team look a whole lot better.
I think a lot of people are gonna see. I don't think that most people are gonna have 1-1 and or like have an option where they can get Bijan and JSN. I think the Gibbs and JSN is a lot more feasible for most people because you'll be able to kind of trade into those spots. And that's what I'm seeing. Like I actually have Gibbs and JSN in about 2 of my leagues so far, and I love it. I love it because I definitely believe that Gibbs, and let's talk that landing spot now. Gibbs in Detroit with that landing spot, I think it was perfect. It was great. I think the only other better landing spot that I could think of was, you could say maybe the Chiefs, or I mean, because you could always say that's like a dream scenario, like the Chiefs or maybe even Atlanta because of what they kind of did with Cordell Patterson, and that's so everybody that had a problem with Robinson going there. I was trying to point to that Cordell Patterson situation, so where they basically turned Cordell Patterson into 30-year-old Cordell Patterson into a RB1 all of a sudden. So I thought that was very interesting. I think that coming up here is where we're going to start getting more into maybe discrepancies as far as the picks go. So I would say the next consensus pick that I'm seeing is it's going to be Addison. Okay, what say you, Addison?
Yeah, it's Addison. That's the only pick that makes sense. He's a great player. If you can end up with a JSN and Addison, if you have picks 5 and 7, it's a beautiful place to be. Or if you have 6 and 7, or whatever the case may be, it's great being in the middle of this draft. This is the one draft where anytime you have 3 really good quarterbacks going, it's going to push talent down every single time. And you don't have to tank to get these guys. That's the beautiful part about it. You can be a competing team. You can be a great team. You can move up. Like I've been able to move up and grab a JSN, giving up a second. I've been able to trade up into the spot completely. I grabbed 2 JSN shares today. One Lamar Jackson deal where I wanted to get younger at wide receiver. Ended up with a Jahan Dotson. Ended up with a JSN and 205 and Pat Frymuth in a tight end premium, to where I was able to use that 205 and draft another quarterback in the name of Will Levis. So in a nutshell, yeah, I lost on the deal, but nobody wanted Jordan Love or Daniel Jones. And those 2 guys are 2 capable guys at your QB2 spot.
So so the rumbling I heard was, oh, well, he's not going to be a wide receiver 1 because Jefferson's there. But my retort to that would be, what if he was Higgins? I mean, or what if he's Higgins? What if he is, something like a Lockett?
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
If not Addison, then who?
Well,
based
okay.
on this amazing 23 class that everybody told us was so amazing. If you're not grabbing Addison here at 107, you're a fool.
So okay, so let's get into that. So the person that I'm hearing, next, and then I'm a lot of people are starting to tell me is the best receiver in here. But I think what happened is a lot of people got scared off because of his landing spot. Is Zay Flowers. I'm hearing people say that Zay Flowers is better than Addison and better than Jigba. And listen, this is going to be personal preference, of course, but I will say, even if you believe that Zay Flowers is better than Addison and better than Jigba, and in one league I did take so I'm consistently taking Addison over Flowers, but in one league I did take Flowers over Addison just to give it a chance. But like I said, even if you believe he was the better talent, I do believe that him going to Baltimore kind of almost makes that pick for you. What say you, bro?
For me, the Ravens, yes, they have a new offense, but has Lamar Jackson ever consistently just elevated a wide receiver's game? Kirk Cousins, we know what he brings to the table. We saw what he was able to do with Adam Thielen.
Right.
Does Addison have higher upside than Adam Thielen? Yes. Can both guys coexist? Even with Jefferson, Jefferson is not going to be the Jefferson that we have known and loved the last 2-3 years, however many years he's been in the league. He is going to have less targets this year, and it's a good thing. If you want Jefferson to last and be in this league a long time, you need to lessen his targets in terms of an actual, real NFL scheme of things, not just fantasy. So, yeah, everybody's mad. Oh, my Jefferson shares. If Jefferson keeps going at the pace that he's going now, he's not going to last in the NFL like we think he is. And then what happens when Jefferson gets his money, too? So this is a great move, not just for fantasy, but for real life, because as you pay Jefferson, you now have Addison on a rookie deal for the next 4 years, and he's just going to just bowl well. He has that first round capital to where you can also give him that fifth-year option. So it's just great. Jefferson is going to get his fifth-year option. This guy's going to get his fifth-year option. I love the landing spot. I'm never going to take Flowers over Addison, although I do love Flowers a lot.
Okay.
And I also thought another guy that didn't get drafted in the first round in Josh Downs. I thought that, Josh Downs will be in this area. I thought it was going to be a Downs and Flowers type thing. It's Flowers and Flowers. There's no Downs next to Flowers.
So yeah, we're not gonna make it here in this video, but we've both consistently seen Downs go high. I've seen him go high in the second, and I've actually seen him go in the third, which is interesting. I've actually seen him the lowest I've seen him drop is almost mid-third, but it was still towards the beginning, but it was like around 3-4, which is very interesting. But that's something for another topic. Now, this is the question. Who's next, Mr. Manny? Who's next? Who's our next consistent pick?
See, here's a guy that I faded is Zach Charbonnet. Before this whole pre-draft process, give me the Zach Charbonnet now.
Right.
I'm fading this guy.
This is the Charbonnet plummet, because to be honest with you, I was taking Charbonnet where we just talked about Flowers at. That's where I was taking Charbonnet, right at that 1-8. And in one of my leagues, I actually made some adjustments, desperately trying to get to the 1-7 to secure Charbonnet, because they told me that some of the other guys in that league said they didn't like Richardson. So I was like, okay, so Richardson's gonna fall, so I got to get at least 1-7 to get Charbonnet. I've seen Charbonnet go mid-second at this point. Now, so what are your feelings?
So I'm just gonna give you my quick rankings of these running backs that are not Bijan Robinson and Gibbs.
Don't give it away yet, because we'll go to a traditional 12 minutes. So we'll go to the 2. So yeah, we'll go 12 picks here. So don't give it away yet. Don't rip the Band-Aid off just yet. Just give me your thoughts on just Charbonnet's landing spot and what that means for the other running back too.
It was trash. I have no comment. It was just ultra trash. Kenneth Walker is a dog. He's a beast.
Right.
They're not going to stop giving Kenneth Walker the ball because Charbonnet got it.
Right.
If anything, Charbonnet is going to be what A.J. Dillon was to Aaron Jones. Take it for what you may. At the end of the day, that's still RB22 to RB24. If he gives you that kind of production, that's great. But that's not a guy that I'm going to take at 1-9 when I can get a receiver that people are fading in this spot that will give you a longer lifespan and got a really good, juicy landing spot. So for me, I'm fading Charbonnet at this spot. He's a second rounder for me now.
Okay. All right. Listen, and I cannot fault you there. I'm definitely I think that you definitely have to lower Charbonnet. I think if you're not, then you're being a little naive. But yeah, I think Charbonnet is definitely lower. I think you just have to.
Yep.
So with that being said, since we can't necessarily count on Charbonnet here, who's the pick? Who's going next for you?
For me, it's between two guys. It's going to be either Quentin Johnston or Devin Achane. Based off of the needs of my team, if I'm in a win now, then I'm going to go Achane, especially if I need running back. If I'm like in a building, I'm still building. Like in the future, I don't know what's about to happen. Then guess what? I'm gonna go Quentin Johnston because at the end of the day, even if he doesn't pan out, at least I took a shot on the potential. This is a guy that people told me will not go drafted. I can go back and play the tape. There were guys that are on this Dynasty Overload podcast that was telling me this guy sucks. This guy is not going to do this. And you know what? He's not even going to get drafted. He was not even invited to a stinking room where you sit there and you walk up to the stage. Who cares about the room?
Right.
It's all about how the NFL views these people. And the NFL might be wrong. But guess what? Because he got first-round draft capital and he went to a beautiful landing spot, give me all the Quentin Johnston, even if I'm wrong. Because guess what? It's the end of the first round, and not everybody that you grab there is going to hit anyways. Right. Why not try to be on the front end than be on the back end? And
so,
go ahead.
I believe that Quentin Johnston actually has the best landing spot out of all the receivers. Like, even though I like Seattle for Njigba, you cannot beat having a top 5 quarterback thrown your way.
Yep.
I think you can't beat it. I love, even though I feel as though some of those thoughts on Quentin Johnston's tape and his play is valid. Listen, once he went to that particular spot, I mean, to me, he shot through the roof, and he maintained his value for me.
Okay.
For me, I do, however, believe that that our ranking so far is right. I think this is how I would be building, like on a blanket team. I think this is about how I would build. I think my only question mark would probably be Richardson, but I think Richardson's in a good spot here too. So that means that between me and you, because I'm going to agree that our next best player is going to be Chain. I'm going to agree with you there.
Okay.
Wholeheartedly. He's not coming up here either. There we go. Oh, now we go with Chain. So that means the Chain is now a top 10 pick, whereas he was, and listen, this is only up from probably about 112 to 1. So I think he was consensusly going about probably 2-1 around that time, or you could even say as high as 112, and then as low as about 2-5. So I think that spot in Miami was the perfect spot for a running back. I mean, in that particular offense, I mean, what are they going to do to stop the Chain? And the good thing about a Chain, and I understand his body mechanics and everything like that, and you can't overlook that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you're going to have to kind of close your eyes and push the confirm button on the pick, because no one is going to be outside of Bijan. Right. No one's just prototypical, has everything and every intangible and there's no perfect prospects outside of Bijan at the moment.
Right.
So listen, I'm with you, and we're gonna let just tell the truth here. I am going after Chain aggressively. Aggressively. Like
I saw a post.
Crazy.
I saw a post earlier on Twitter, and I'm trying to find it. There it is. Perfect. So let me read you this post, and you tell me if you agree or you disagree. We got 5 more minutes left. All right. Devon Chain is a 180-pound running back selected in the 3rd round, which is great, day 2. But anyways, Mostert and Wilson are better players all around. And my guess would be that even if a Chain gets some run this year, he'll likely get a RB added to the group next year, and that will dominate touches. Don't waste a first. So what he's saying is pretty much don't trust a Chain now and don't trust a Chain later. What is your take on this? Are you grabbing a Chain in the 1st round, or are you trying to let him fall to you in the 2nd round if you can? How are you approaching this?
Right now. I completely disagree with that guy. This is why, because we're going to talk about Miami's running backs really quickly. They had Mozart. They had I can't think of the other guys. Wilson. Yep, they had Wilson, and then they had that They had one other guy up there. All of those guys were basically running backs that had speed, that could basically catch the ball. They had a type. They're looking for a particular player. They are looking for game changers. They're looking for speed. They are looking to basically blow defenses off the field. And a chain checks all of those boxes. Now, will they get somebody, a big body guy, to do goal line and stuff like that? Listen, I expect them to. But they're going to do the same thing with Gibbs. Does that mean that you shouldn't take him? They did the same thing with Kamara. Does that mean that you shouldn't take him? I think this guy's off his rocker. And I get it, because he's going off of the body size or the body mechanics. Mm-hmm. And I get that. You can go off of that, and I won't blame you. But as far if we're talking upside, then the chain has the most upside of any back here.
Let me say this. When you look at that offense for the Miami, which came from San Francisco, they run a wide zone offense. What that means is they like to get players in space. What that means is they love speed. Right. This guy has the speed to be a home run threat for these guys. The way they envisioned in using Chase Edmonds, this is going to be what Chase Edmonds was supposed to be in this offense. He's a guy that doesn't need a lot of touches to be productive. He's going to catch the ball. He's a guy that can get you about 4 to 5 receptions a game, if anything. And then at the same time, he's going to get carries, and I think he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. I think he's in the perfect offense for his skill set. You give me all the chain. Everybody doesn't have to be a big back to succeed in the NFL.
Exactly. So let's finish this thing off here. We're going to kind of just finish out and round out our top 12 players, or first round in a super flex. So this is kind of what I saw happening consensus wise. We're in a lot of, I think most people play at least half point super flex or super tight end. I think so. Most of us are playing tight end premium, at least half point. And then we have Mr. Levis here as our fourth quarterback, because a lot of people are, listen, quarterback is still going to be king in Superflex. Mm-hmm. This is about what I'm seeing happening here. I think Kincaid landed in a great spot. Mm-hmm. I think that he is hands down the better receiver between him and what's the tight end out there? I'm bad with names, guys. You guys are going to know that about me. Knox. He's going to be the better hands guy between him and Knox, even though Knox at this point may be the better. He's still not even a better box outer either. But Knox is going to be the better blocker, so Knox is going to still, have an active role on the team. But I think this hurts Knox, and I think that Kincaid will eventually be the future at that position, because I don't believe they'll be able to pay Knox tight end the tight end money that he can command. When they sit there and they look at, hey, Kincaid is the guy that we want to be able to throw the ball to. Him there with Josh Allen, I think is a perfect spot. Levis, who we're not big on and landed in Tennessee, who doesn't have any receiving options outside of Traylon Burks, who's unproven. Mm-hmm. To me, listen, if you can get him late first, take a swing there, I think that's nice. But he's definitely not going in. I don't think he should go any higher than this, unless you are just quarterback starved. I have seen him go as high as, I think, about 1.6 or 1.7. But unless you're quarterback starved, I don't think you should be trying to touch Levis. But at 112 or lower, if you have to and you need that quarterback, then we understand what you're doing there. Okay, guys, listen. Thanks for joining us. We're just talking these landing spots, just getting into it, just dipping our toes into it just a little bit. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Me and Mr. Manny, we out. Y'all have a good one. Got some more shows coming. Remember to like and subscribe, guys. Have a good one.